I wanted to talk about something that's going on that is extremely controversial, and it's kind of hard to talk about because you can't talk about it one way or the other without, being attacked by one of the sides. And the word attacked is kind of strong, but that's kind of what it feels like. And the thing that I'm thinking about is so, I guess, severe that it's starting to affect my mental health. And by that I mean, last night I could not sleep well. I was tossing and turning. I felt really kind of worried. There was just a lot of really sad feelings and a lot of conflicted feelings. So, what I'm going to talk about is this whole immigration thing that's going on. So, as we all know, January 19th, there's been a lot of changes. These changes, some people see it like, yay, amazing. Other people are like, oh my gosh, this is horrible, not amazing. Um, so, there's something that I'm seeing that's really disturbing, and I gotta talk about it because I just gotta talk about it. This is kind of geared mostly toward those who support Trump. I will say, I will share with you, I'm mostly conservative. My heart is conservative. I was raised Democrat. However, there were a lot of things that I suppose as a Christian that I am not, in line with regarding the Democratic Party. One time on Facebook, I saw this image that said, that the left wing and the right wing are part of the same bird, and I remember looking at that bird and thinking, the body of it, that's the body of the bird. So if the body of the bird is money, if it's greed, if it's status and power and fame, I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is I just know I kind of lean toward conservative. However, the stuff that's going on right now, I would say is kind of beyond conservative. It's going into this it has gone into a very hateful place. So a lot of the people that are supposedly, Trump supporters, they're also allegedly Christians. What does that mean? In their minds, for some reason, they're associating Christianity with like, with like Caucasian, with, I guess I'll just say the word like whiteness. They're associating it almost like, I want to almost say like in the level where the whole like Adolf Hitler stuff started with almost like an ethnic cleansing, Christianity equals white. When the reality is this, Jesus was actually not white. He was Middle Eastern. He was from Jerusalem. He was probably not, the white, I'll just say the whitewashed Jesus that we saw, that we kind of see. Like, I know, like, the Mormons like to use this image of Jesus, and he has, like, this very white face, very kind of, like, chiseled jaw, and really light hair. Again, nobody knows what Jesus looks like. In fact, the Bible describes Jesus as kind of homely, not really attractive, not someone that, when you look at him that you'll see, oh my gosh, it's the Messiah. He was really low key in his features. But for some reason, I guess like Trump supporting Christians are forgetting this. That Jesus, some might even say he was an immigrant because he went from his land to another land, or where his parents did, to try to find a safety, away from King Herod and all the bad things that were going on. And at that time, whether or not they had like border policies like they do now, I'm sure they had some kind of border policy at that time in the Middle East. I know now there's a lot of conflict with that, but that's a whole nother subject that I'm not going to get into in this podcast. Especially coming back from a hiatus. I know I started this podcast a long time ago, but I want to restart it again, just to kind of go on a side note or a tangent, which I'm really good at. I haven't, I've tried, I want to revive this podcast. However, one of my excuses was the microphone issue. So I bought a microphone. However, it's for Apple devices and I don't have an Apple device, and I had to refund it, and then try to get like a, Android device microphone. And I don't know. There's just been kind of a lot of weird little hiccups. So I thought, you know what? I'm just going to do how I used to do, just record it and then kind of worry on the equipment later. But anyways, back to my point. So my point is this. It was back to the what's going on in immigration. So anyways, I guess the Christians or the quote Christians who are supporting Trump are forgetting empathy. They're forgetting to be Christ-like. They're forgetting to go back to the actual roots of what Jesus was. He was a loving person. He was caring. He was forgiving. He was full of grace. That doesn't mean that, forgiving of like crimes and okay, I get it. Entering illegally, it's a crime. And then you're going to say that everybody, even like the hard working abuelitos, the little older guys or the little kids in school just with their little jackets, learning. Okay, you want to say that they're criminals because technically that's what the technicality is, that they're criminals, they're here illegally. However, at the very, very least, look through it through the lens of Jesus, okay? They're still kids. They're still families. They still have a lot of love. They're still human, okay? So even if you want to tell yourself, they're animals, they're criminals, they're all bad, they're all illegal. Okay, I'm sorry. I have worked with the immigrant population, and I can tell you a lot of them are coming through with, let's just say, like papers that are not legit. A lot of them are coming through probably trying to escape because they were used to a very violent lifestyle, and then their country started cracking down and they want to continue it here. There's a lot of that going on, like with the recent attacks of like immigrants with American females, or just even like the whole train incident. If you know about that, you know about that. I don't really want to get into it because it was really sad, but you're seeing a lot of that on the news. And again, this is extremely bad, and these people should not be here at all. However, these people do not represent everybody. They do not represent all immigrants, okay? There's actually a lot of really wonderful, hardworking immigrants, and you'll probably never see that. And that, if you don't want to see that, fine. But at the very least, look at Jesus. Look for Jesus. If we're trying to live a Christian lifestyle, that means we want to be like Jesus. What does that mean? At least have some empathy. At least have some empathy to say, you know what? Kids are being taken from school, and that's sad. What I'm seeing a lot on social media, on TikTok, is people saying, yeah, well, they're criminals and they deserve it. Excuse me, they're kids, okay? And a lot of the times, these kids did not elect for their parents to come here. So just having that mindset and saying, oh, I have been saved by grace. A lot of these people, when you click their, who have these hateful comments, you click on their profile images, they say something like Christian, saved by grace, all these things, or mama of two. Okay, you're a mom, you claim to be a Christian, and you're kind of wishing hate, you're wishing even death, you're wishing the worst on humans. That's embarrassing. And you're not a Christian if you're thinking this way. This is not a Christian thinking. Okay, this is a hateful thinking. It is Satan-fueled thinking. When you're a Christian, you can look at the situation and say, you know what? It is sad what's happening. You know what? It may be destroying families. You know what? They're still humans after all, and this is sad. You have to say that as a Christian, because that's showing empathy, that's showing human-like nature. You cannot just be like a Trump robot, kill, destroy. Okay, again, going back to Germany and what happened. I've been to Germany. I've seen the remnants or the last parts of the Berlin Wall. I saw the reactions of people when people would draw certain images that are related to everything bad that happened over there. And I mean, it's a criminal act. And now things that are actually considered really bad over there, they're trying to be normalized here, and that's not okay either. As Trump supporters, and I'm going to say even as a conservative, we have to recognize if there's people doing weird things. And if something's weird, we got to ask ourselves, was that weird? You know, is it weird if somebody makes like a weird sign at a certain angle, and then all of a sudden they're kind of telling people, hey, forget about what happened in Germany. Don't feel guilt for it. When there's still people who survived the Holocaust alive and talking about their childhood experiences and everything. Like, is this okay? No, it's not. And again, as a conservative, I can look at this and say, actually, something is off. Something is off. And I want to speak honestly, because it's hard to speak honestly, like even at work. At work, everybody, I'm going to say, like, is blindly liberal. But when I say blindly, I mean to the point where maybe that's everybody. Everybody kind of wants to be blindly conservative, blindly liberal. They don't want to acknowledge that there is kind of a gray space that things exist in. Which is sad, because honestly, if I look at Trump, if I call myself a conservative and look at Trump and I'm like, you know what? I don't like that he had ties to some serial molester. I don't like the comments he made about females. I actually don't like the political party's comments. They said something weird about when they had some kind of like weird jokester who put down I think it was like the Asian community in the past, and he got in trouble for it. Well, this guy said something about Puerto Rico being like a land of trash. He said something about like opening his friend's refrigerator, who was black, and then there was watermelon. The jokes weren't funny. They weren't funny. And as a conservative, you can say that was kind of racist. And it's okay to say something was weird about that. You don't have to be so hardcore that there's no space for empathy, there's no space for critical thinking, and there's only space to follow like a lemming, off the edge of a cliff. Like, you are allowed to have space for critical thought. You are allowed to have space to ask yourself questions like, is this okay? And it doesn't mean you have to go straight from conservative to liberal and change everything. And it just means that space for thinking is valid, and it's okay to ask those questions, and it's okay to not feel 100% gung-ho Trump supporter. Even if, look, there's something that's kind of happening at work that I'm noticing. If somebody voted Republican or even hinted that they're conservative, and usually this means anyone that has like a Christian stuff in their office. If there's any kind of hint that they're conservative, there's kind of a lot of almost like a survivor's guilt or like a voter's guilt. I'm sure it has a name. I haven't looked it up. Where everyone's saying, gosh, I really can't stand Latinos or Hispanics that voted for Trump. Gosh, they really just don't care about us or the kids, And there's a kind of a lot of this thinking. I made the mistake at work, or somehow, but some people know I am conservative, because I was thinking, why I hate that I have to kind of hide my thoughts, but I also want people to understand that there's room for, again, critical thinking. There's even room for error, I suppose. But even if you look at it, most of the United States, especially Oklahoma, and especially with the Amish, population, they have their own reasons why they voted red. In fact, in my mind, as a conservative, there's certain things that I think American values should conserve. American values should, to me, consider upholding the Christianity as, the basis of our country. Now, that can easily be debated because there's a lot of things. You can go into the conspiracy theories, and I love conspiracy theories, but you can go deep into it. saying, gosh, the original fathers were this, or they were involved in that, or that's not the God they were talking about. And I don't know, but in my heart, I want to think, I want to feel that Christianity, the love for Christ, the love for God, the existence of God is, what fuels this country. But then we're kind of seeing the Trump supporters again with the hatefulness, with the hatefulness and the hateful comments, and deport them all, or even kill them all, or even all these like horrible things. Like, who cares if they're going into schools? We should care, because they're kids in an educational setting, trying to learn, trying to be something, trying to be somebody. There's no way you can see like a little girl coming to the States saying, I'm going to be a veterinarian someday, and then telling her, go home. That's wrong. If you can feel okay telling an innocent kid who's just trying to get a good education, because you have no idea what the education system is like in these other countries. And I know you probably feel that's not my problem. I was born here. I'm privileged. Okay. There's something really wrong with the education system in other countries. Some of these kids really do want a better education system to strive under, A lot of these places over there, they're surrounded by a very violent people that wait for them in the schools, that recruit them, that have really horrible intimidation tactics. School is not safe. In fact, I can't even really say schools in America are safe anymore. For a long time, they're pretty scary. And even in this environment, it's still 1,000,000% safer than, and that's not a real statistic, but just super safer than those schools over there and everything that's going on. So, in fact, a lot of those countries, the teachers have to leave the school because there's so much violence and threats. And let's say like different factions that are warring for a certain territory. There's a lot of kidnapping. There's a lot of bad things happening, okay? And we as Christians, we have to have empathy and make room for that and say, this is not okay. This is sad. Or at least to say, I get it. I get why they're escaping, okay? It doesn't help when we see people on TV, and I've actually seen them and met them, and I wish I can tell you exactly my thoughts on that, but that's probably for something else, but who are from another country, come here and say, give me my rights. Give me my phone. I deserve this. I deserve that. And I'm just thinking, no, you don't. I'm sorry, but even to get proper dental care that's affordable and not going to break the bank or put you in some kind of almost bankrupt situation is hard. And a lot of these people, I can tell you, and if they know how to play the system, which some do, they're getting way better dental care than I've had in the past, 20 years. There's a lot going on that you don't know about that I have seen firsthand. I can tell you there's a lot of free health care going on, a lot of free dental care going on, a lot of plane tickets, being bought. There's a lot of money going into, and some of these people are really humble. They have humble hearts. But I know some of them are not humble. And I know some of them don't have good intentions. So again, I'm making proper room to make proper assessments. I cannot say, undocumented migrants are bad. I can't say that. I can say some of them, a lot of them, don't have good intentions and are probably can be classified as bad. But I have to make room that there are many that are not, okay? And that's where the empathy piece comes in. That's where the critical thinking comes in, where you can stay close to Christ and try to be Christ-like to make room for love, okay? And love doesn't mean changing who you are, or what you're representing or what, it just means making room to say that must be hard for the families. Because when you don't say these things to yourself, when you don't make room for this, you start becoming like what happened in Germany. You start actually seeing with pure hatred. Your heart gets hard. You're no longer a Christian at that point. No matter what you call yourself. If you can accept that Jesus was a Jew from Jerusalem who was probably not white, right there is a problem. You got a problem. So if you can't accept that, you can't even say you're a Christian. Because in what Christ are you believing in? Like, what is your faith? To be a Christian, you want to turn your back on what you were. You want to turn your back on the bad, hateful things, the sinful ways that you were. And you want to make a difference. Psalm 1 says there's only two roads in life, the good road or the bad road. And in the bad road, that means you're also sitting and standing with the scoffers. You're sitting and standing with the people pointing and leering and hurting and bullying. That's the bad road. You're not walking the good path when you're sitting in that table, okay? You cannot even call yourself a Christian. Now, Christ will always make room for you if you turn from that and say, you know what? I'm doing the wrong thing. I'm being a bad person. I'm not being a good Christian. I'm going to turn from that and walk to Christ. And that's hard because that means you got to put behind what you were, what you thought you were, what you were doing, the hateful things, the hateful thoughts, and say, I'm going to change because I want to change and I want to be a better person. That's how we can avoid what happened in Germany, okay? That's how we can avoid what's happening in a lot of parts of the world where hearts are so hardened and so cold and so just like a rock, that there's no room for any kind of humanity left. So honestly, that's my message for Trump supporting Christians. Make room for empathy, and it doesn't mean you have to be okay with illegal activity. It does mean that you don't have to say comments like, who cares if they're going to the schools to take out these kids? Who cares that they're separating families? They deserve it because they're criminals. Okay, you don't have to say these things. If you find yourself trying to say these things on social media, consider your source right now. Like, who's your source right now? Is it Satan or is it Jesus? Because I'm pretty sure Jesus will not be saying those hateful, horrific things, okay, about these migrants. And please, for the love of everything, stop using the word illegals. If you can stop saying that, that'd be kind of a bonus. If you can't, again, look within yourself. There's other things you can say, undocumented migrants. You can say a lot of things that are a little bit more respectful. But to say illegals is saying that every single person is subhuman, okay? Just because they came here for their reasons does not make them any less human than you. And again, that's how Jesus' family left their country, escaping the horrific things going on in their world, to go to another place where even the innkeeper said, you know what, there's no room, but here's a place y'all can use, okay? They traveled, going away from bad, scary things, to a new place, hoping to be welcomed. And again, I can see all sides of this, and I hope you can too. And well, I don't know. I hope that this kind of inspired some kind of thought, but my hope is that you start walking more like Christ and start controlling your fingers to not have to type those things like deport them all and, death to illegals and all these hateful things. I hope you can, if you made it this far, 24 minutes into the podcast, that means that there's probably some humanity and empathy and true Christianity left in you after all. So congratulations, and I hope you consider this, and I hope something in you is inspired to be a better person. And again, this is coming from someone who's very conservative. Well, I hope you have a great day. I mean, I hope you're able to take care of your mental health, and I'm going to work on that today. And it's hard. It's hard not looking at the news media on all these things like TikTok, but I'm going to try to work on my mental health, and part of that is dedicating time to pray, to pray to Jesus, to pray and just ask him for hope and healing and comfort and ways to be a helper in this really scary time for a lot of people. So I hope you take care, you have a good day, and I will talk to you later. Bye.